Good morning, everyone. This is a different time for us. I know you normally expect to see me and Miss Sage here in the afternoon on our Mondays, but we are wanted to kind of dive in deep with this particular topic early in the morning and get your day started, get your week started with a good refresh and reset and kind of reconnecting. Um, we'll give a couple minutes for other people to join our live, but we are so excited for you all to be here. We actually had an amazing community event in June where we partnered with Humana, Blue Cross Blue Shield, where we were interacting and just providing resources to the community. We had snow cones, right, Miss Sage? It was really hot, but we enjoyed that. We actually got a lot of people several people that were interested in what we were offering, such as the FSS program, the Boss Initiative program. Jobs was out there. We had Chewy. Um, and they had a lot of jobs that they're offering. So we just wanted to just reconnect with you all. We haven't been on this platform in like over a month, right, Miss Age? It's been about a month.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're just wanting to do a good refresh and a restart workshop. We know that with the crazy pace of 2022, it is important to take a moment to refresh and refocus and think about our goals, our well-being, and think about the space that we're in, and reflect on resolutions that we made at the beginning of the year. What is our progress, and what are some new goals or things that we can do to drive ourselves to be our best selves? So for those who may not know who I am, if this is your first time tuning, I am Whitney Middlebrooks, and I'm the Family Self Sufficiency Program Coordinator with the Lexington Housing Authority. And
I'm Sage Shioma. I'm the coordinator of BOSS Initiative, which stands for Building Our Success Stories.
awesome, awesome. And as we think about building our success stories, we are in July. You just think about how time flies. Like before you know it, it'll be, you know, literally we'll be talking about resolutions again. So we wanted to definitely create this mid-year check-in review to just kind of touch base, touch pulses to see where we are. Again, where can we improve on? What can we think about? And just reevaluate what we're working on and how we can lead better. So I'm just gonna go head with our topic for today. And again, resetting and refreshing is so important because I feel like we can get caught up in, life, and I'm guilty of this as well. Is we say things that, okay, beginning of the year, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna save, and then all of a sudden March come, we're like, oh, okay, and it happens because we do have to give ourselves grace. Life happens. I know specifically with me, there's just been a lot of different transitions of unfortunate deaths I had. So a lot of things I thought I was going to be doing at this point might not be exactly where I want to be. And this particular session has been very crucial for me because I've sat here and thought like, wow, what did I say I was going to do? Where am I at? And where can I do better? And what I did notice is that I actually was much more progressive than I thought. And I think these check ins are important because sometimes we might not see that fruit immediately, right? Or we might feel like we didn't do enough. But when I think about what goals I actually did set, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you're pretty good. You're not exactly, achieved it 100%, but I have actually done some really good progress to get me there. So we're just gonna I'm gonna dive into um, specifically 5 tips. And if you want to follow along, feel free to pull out your handy dandy notebook. I'm big on that and writing them down, or if you want to put them in your phone. But I think it's important just to write these steps down and think about how we can um, evaluate where we are right now in July of 2022. So first, again, I think as we mentioned, to reset, realign, and restart. There's always room to grow. There's always room to stop for a second, figure out what makes sense. Perhaps even goals that you said or thought you were going to do. Maybe this time isn't the right time. Maybe you need to start thinking about something else. And I'm big on giving yourself grace, right? Because we all can. I'm big on giving yourself grace, but also dreaming big. But again, life happens. So this moment is important to just take a moment to be still and see where you are, whether it's in reference to your health, your financial goals, your career goals, personal relationship goals, marriage goals, family. Where are you at right now? So that's where we're going to start. So one thing I want to talk about is I think it's so important to schedule your priorities, right? I think it's important to determine which items you value more. Do you value spending more time with your family? Are you wanting to focus more on a new skill? Is it working out? Is it health? Is it your mental health? Is it a social goal? Or I want to maybe be more social with my friends or more intentional with my partner. What is it? So schedule those priorities. You have like big things and you have things that don't necessarily, I ain't gonna say they don't matter, but they maybe don't add as much value to you personally. I was listening to this analogy and it was talking about rocks. So if you have, rocks can be all sizes, right? So if you have a bowl or something and you're putting rocks in, so the bigger box, excuse me, the bigger rocks are going to um, show these are the bigger things that you value. So let's say I'm a big family person. So family would be a bigger rock for me. My health would be a bigger rock for me. So you want to start with the bigger rocks first, because if you're putting big rocks in, then you can throw in where those smaller items, whether it's whatever you decide what is not as much value at this moment. But if you fill it up with things that the smaller rocks that maybe don't bring as much value, you don't now have room for the bigger rocks to put in. So I just wanted to say that because I think that's a better visual for say, what are your priorities? Sit down with those and determine what makes more sense for you in this moment as we're kind of mid-year of 2022. And Ms. Sage, feel free to add on if anything you wanted to add in reference to that.
Well, I'm just happy to hear you talk about the mid-year reset and reevaluate and realign. And it's important to me because I have a birthday coming up. So
Oh,
I always feel like this is my time to do that as I draw closer to the birthday, because
mhm.
it's like my 365th day around the sun, right? And so this is timely.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. Well, happy early birthday to you. That's definitely a blessing. And just to say happy birthday and get to those milestones as we reflect on the year. So I want to just move on to the next step. So what is the status of your goals? I kind of talked about it briefly. It's important to just think about where am I at, right? Where are you at in this process? Have you lost any weight? Did you start that new hobby you said you were going to do? Did you actually start that new business? You said you wanted to volunteer more. Did you volunteer? Where have you volunteered? So just taking a moment to say, where am I at? Have I done anything? And again, giving yourself grace if you haven't, because this is an opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to change some things up. I thought I was going to do all this volunteering, but COVID's still here. I haven't had the time to find the best organization that I felt would be fit for what I want to do. But you still have time to figure that out. And again, be reasonable with your goals. And this is also, if you want to create new goals, this is the perfect time to do it. So saying being reasonable, because let's say if you say I'm going to run a marathon next month and you haven't trained, you haven't been working out, that probably is not a realistic goal, right? We want to make this make sense for you, and we don't want you to feel overwhelmed with a new goal that is almost untangible to make. So I'm using running a marathon because running a marathon takes training, it takes dedication, it takes you literally carving out time for your health, yourself, to exercise, to do training for the marathon, running, pacing yourself. So that might not be the most realistic goal if you haven't done, and you for the last 7 months, right? We've been chilling on the couch. Running a marathon might not be realistic, but think about what is realistic that you could change in your goal. And if it is starting a new hobby, you definitely have time. Maybe even just figuring out, instead of starting the hobby, let's figure out what you actually like. Use that as a goal. Just the goal is to figure out what I like, right? Writing things down, figuring out what you like, what you don't like, what makes sense, what brings you joy. So that's something to think about. So again, the first step is to schedule your priorities, determine what brings value to you. The second step is to check the status of your goals, update those goals as need be. And the next step is to break down the goals into actionable steps, right? So what does that mean? So a goal is a destination, right? And you and the steps is what help you determine how you get there. So in order to get to the destination, you're gonna have to what? Get in the car. You're gonna have to crank the car up. You're gonna have to put the car in drive. So there's so many steps to even get to your destination or your goal. So you want to build up to it, break it down again. So if you have a financial goal, how are you going to do that? Maybe saving, maybe you had a really big goal of saying, I want to save $100 a month when you in January. Maybe that's not realistic, right? So maybe $10 a month is more realistic. So you can start saving that, or even five. And so the actionable steps and how to, if you, in terms of a financial goal, you can also do like an auto transfer, so where you don't have to think about it, about that financial goal every month, that you can just do a auto transfer from your bank to your from your checking account to your savings account of $5 or $10, and then just slowly build yourself up if that makes sense for you, or you can literally keep yourself on that pace. So setting those actionable steps of how to do so is so important, and it allows you to just be flexible. It allows you to know that you're still making progress, and allowing yourself time and the opportunity to grow. So the next step is to schedule the actual step. So we could talk about it. So when I say schedule it, I think about, you take things one day at a time, 1 month at a time. When I talked about the auto transfers, you also want to think about different reminders. So let's say if it's a fitness goal, and it's like maybe setting a calendar reminder to say, drink your water. I know a lot of times with our phones and our Apple Watches, or other digital devices, they can remind you to relax. That might be a goal. You might have a little anxiety. So a goal is to be conscious and be aware of how you're feeling during the day. So calm down. Let's take a moment to just do nothing, right? Let's take a moment to drink some water. Miss Sage, when she first got on, she was ranting and raving about how, boy, this water has been doing her justice. So that's something that she has been intentional about, right? In drinking her water, thinking about her health. And so I don't know, do you have any actionable steps that help you remind yourself of that, or you just been good? You just that good at it?
No, actually, I just implemented it a couple of days and saw
Okay.
the difference. And so
Oh,
when you talk about progress, once you feel the progress, that gives you a momentum.
mhm.
And then you're only motivated by taking action. You can't be motivated if you keep procrastinating. So just a couple of days, I had something to compare it to.
Wow.
One, I wasn't as fatigued.
Mm,
I didn't feel that mental fog.
mhm.
Those are noticeable differences that make me say, I better keep going with this.
Mm. Well, look, that I'm definitely gonna write that down, because I can't say I've been the best at that. I say it, and this is because we're all human. We have our flaws. I can say life gets to me. I'm constantly always just working, working, working. Before you know, I haven't eaten, I haven't drank anything. So that's something that even when I was putting this together, I said I really need to be more intentional about taking care of myself, because I'm constantly going. And then particularly when it's time to eat, it's like I haven't eaten all day, then I'm probably not eating well. So that's something I'm glad you just said it, just doing it. And that's something I'm going to just put on my little whiteboard. Just do it. Drink the water, Whitney. Take a moment and drink the water. So the last step I just want to add, I kind of touched on this in the beginning, is to, apparently I did not add that, but the last one is to remove what doesn't add value. Okay. So sometimes that can be easier said than done, but taking that honest reflection, what is not serving you, right? For the last 7 months, what has not been serving you? I don't know if it can be a social crowd. I don't know if it can be social media. Are there things in your job that you're taking on, but that you don't necessarily have to take on? What is it, right? Think about what's not serving you and take it out. It is okay. As long as you don't fall short on your responsibilities. But I do think we can be mindful of what we're putting energy to, because we've talked a lot for the last year or so about mental health and how things can literally take us down physically, emotionally, spiritually. and we have nothing to give ourselves. So take out what doesn't add value. If you're taking on too many projects, take the two of them out. You know, if it's not going to mess up what your job is. If it's social media, I often do social media fast, because sometimes it has a way of kind of playing tricks on you about expectations of things that are not necessarily reality. So put the phone down. And then going back to whatever brings you value, add more of that. Whether it is spending time with your family, whether it is literally doing nothing, right? Taking time to rest. If you feel great when you work out, do more of that, right? So I just wanted to say that overall it is important, in recapping those 5 things, is to schedule your priorities, determine, let me go back. So schedule your priorities, determining what makes sense. Where are you at in your progress? Status of your goals. Where are you? Make some changes and add some new realistic goals if need be. And then also breaking your goals down into how you can get to the goal. Like what are the specific action steps to get there? And then lastly, scheduling those action steps, being intentional about that. And the last thing, which I unfortunately did not add in the slide, was to remove what doesn't add value. Remove it out. And just overall, I want to say that we you got this, right? The thing is, remember that we are all human. Give yourself grace. When you slack. I know when I slack. So sometimes I have to watch myself and be like, I didn't achieve that, but it's all good. But sometimes I have to hold myself a little to the fire, like, no, Whitney, you was procrastinating. I don't want to have an excuse because I didn't do something. But overall, I know that you got this, we've got this. The last 2 years or so have been very interesting in our lives. We've literally talked about it almost ad nauseum, about COVID and all of these changes, but it is unfortunately now our new norm. But continue to to set goals, create actionable steps to get there, create realistic goals, and add and remove anything in your life that doesn't add value to you. So that right there kind of completes my take on this whole reset and refresh. And I'll allow Miss Sage to add anything that she wants to add to this topic as it relates to this mid-year check-in, and how we can take some different tips or tactics. And I know she's just, mental health, that she can give us some good insight on that as we move forward.
Well, I really appreciate the whole concept. And I heard you when you said you take a social media fast. And what a lot of people don't know about you is your expertise is strategic communications.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very much a part of who you are, being able to be on platforms, to brand people, to help people with that whole shift, and in a very public way. And so if you could take a fast from it, I know I could take a fast from it. Not only can I often need to, and I don't do that enough. And
Mm-hmm.
so we're not perfect, but like I said, when you find these things help your mental health, help your emotional balance and your well-being, it's like takes 21 days to form a new habit. So if you could do something for 21 days, it will become a habit. And that's like at the whole idea of goal setting. I can be distracted easily
Mm-hmm.
and lose sight of my goals. And you talked about, if you find that it's what you value
Yeah.
and what brings value to your goals, or what helps move you closer to your goal, you have to remove it. So I have the disease to please.
Mm.
I have not exercised my no muscle enough, so that it is almost a habit to say yes.
Oh, wow.
And I want to say that when it comes to goal setting, if procrastination and my own resistance is a problem, imagine when I add the expectations of others. And Whitney could bear witness to it, because there was a particular goal I had, and it took me over a year and a half to really give myself permission to dive in and make it a priority. And that, I think, is not something that only I do. I think I think a large majority of us, and I heard somebody recently say that we have it confused. We
Hmm.
put more money, more value on money than we do time.
Wow.
And we need to flip it. And we need to think of time in the same way or even more value than money. And did they used to say time is money and money is, and now I understand what that means. So Whitney, you want to say something about that? Prioritizing
I
based on
I
your
think that
goals, not other people's.
like you said, I think we all in some capacity can get in our own way, right? Like you saying, it took you that long to dive in and be giving yourself permission to do something that you know that you needed to do, you can do, right? It ain't even a question if you can do it. It's just almost like doing it can be like, oh my God, it can be a little overwhelming. It might even because you're having to talk about yourself more and specific to your project. It can be like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say, but we are all actually capable of doing everything that we want to do because it literally is already in us to be great. We just got to literally dig deep. Sometimes you got to dig a little deeper. Sometimes you're like, nah, I keep on digging and I ain't finding nothing, but it literally already is in us. But that confidence, pushing ourselves, getting that spirit of procrastination off us. Because I used to jokingly call myself the procrastinating princess, but I don't want that no more. Just because I would be like, and it's only because I always had so much to do, and I was like, I don't know, but I think that we do need to value our time more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we'll never really get time back. Like I can't redo what I did yesterday. I can't do it over. So we have to value that time because time is again something we don't get it back. Money is constant, right? Even if it ain't constantly in my hand or constantly in my bank account, it never runs out. It's
Or you
always
can lose
you
all of
can
the
lose it.
money
You can
and
lose.
gain it back, but time you
Mhm.
will not gain back.
You will not gain back. So that's where being intentional,
Hmm.
taking a little time to just sit down for a second. And I'm not saying I've been the best at that. Balancing life can be tricky. Like I said, this demanding society is very like hustle culture. And I actually am totally against hustle culture because hustle culture it pushes us in this incredibly demanding way, and then you're not even taking care of yourself. And it's like, well, what are you doing that for? Right? Yes, we need to be proactive. We need to not procrastinate, but hustle. Okay. Where are you going to take the time to take care of yourself so that you can actually be your best? If I'm always hustling, I'm always grinding, and I'm always doing this, am I really showing up right? Because it's naturally some neglect there. And it could be that no one else can see it, but it's me. For me, it shows up. I don't sleep well, right? So no one knows that because but I don't sleep well. I just because it's always going, it's always turning. But that's just also a little personality too. But I say be mindful of that time, right? And if that family time is important, be intentional. Put the phone down, right? And that can be a goal for a lot of people because we have been very pushed to our phones. And as Miss Sage mentioned, my entire job outside of this job and everything I do is revolved around digital marketing and phones and communication. But yeah, I need time to. I set timers on my phone of like restricting Facebook for a minute because
Hmm.
it's the scroll culture too. We just scroll and scroll and scroll, and I'm like, I literally had XYZ to do, and that's that goal part. But I have sat here for a whole hour and just scrolled. It's like that was unproductive. So, and then it messes with our mind. And as we talk about with mental health, it can do something to it. So, being aware of it, being conscious of our bodies, our minds, and what we're putting into it and what we're putting out is just so key as we
And
can.
this time that you're making right now by choosing this particular topic is a part of it because, like you said, the mid year means that then I could check and see, did I keep any promises or did I break promises to myself?
Yeah.
Or did I allow myself to be so distracted? A good example is I have penciled in some vacation time,
Okay.
But other people, because it's my birthday, have plopped themselves in that time. And it's interesting because they're people you love and they want to celebrate you, but they don't understand work life balance means that if I have people come into my life, especially if they're visiting or whatever, that's going to fill every day with something to do. That's why sometimes when people go on vacation, they come back more tired than they was when they left. Um, because every space doesn't have to be filled, and that's part of setting your priorities. So part of my priorities has to be rest. And I'm not always good at that either. That fear of missing out, just because something is happening right now, I feel like I'm gonna miss it. It's an opportunity. I got to do it. And no is a complete sentence. No is a spiritual muscle that you got to work over and over, or you'll just people please and then be doing things out of obligation. So a lot of what my goals were got pushed to the back burner. And because we do have these projects that we have to do that start to take on a big life, especially if you're somebody like Whitney and myself, we have big ideas.
Whew.
And we have big ideas and a lot of vision that requires a lot of moving parts. And it's not until you get it in motion that you realize how big this idea really is. It sounds so good and everybody will agree. They'll say, oh yeah, that sounds great, and then they'll scatter, right? Mm-hmm. When you know that the idea you have might be too large for one particular person to do on their own. So Whitney, that's a strong suit. She does know how to delegate. I saw her in action with some of that. And like she said, the event that we had just recently, we had people come from out of the community. And if you stopped and talked to anyone at any of those tables, you were mesmerized. Mm-hmm. You just stayed and just talked to them, whether it was the lady from the Y, yep, right? Or whether it was the young ladies who were offering North Carolina Blue, which had to do with educating you around, it was really amazing. So that was a mid-year kind of goal too, to make sure that there's an event for this community. And values, just what do you value? And then remembering your why you set the goal in the first place.
Yeah. I want to point out on a personal note about remember why you started, right? Mm-hmm. As I do my business things and I host events and things like that with my business is, yeah, I'm on year 3, but I had to literally sit down and say, don't forget why you started. And I'm always big on this whiteboard that I can see every day, right? And it says, keep that same energy. And that is a gentle reminder for me to know, like, never forget why I started. What's the value? Why did I do this? Why? And that's like that constant reminder of being intentional, knowing that I'm on set, I'm on progress, I'm still in motion, but never forgetting why I got started and understanding that what I value, so that as it grows or whatever that looks like, even for your personal life, that I don't forget where and why I started. And I just want to add that because that's been very key for me and keeping me very focused, because it's like I don't want to start tripping on all these other moving parts as it grows, but keep that same energy, Whitney, because it's literally the reason why I started. It keeps me going, and it's literally going to literally sustain me. So, and that I use that, and I want to be able to use that in more of my not just professional life, but my personal life too. So I'm trying to keep that. And that's always say, give yourself grace, because we have our days where I'm super motivated. I'm sure you feel the same way, Miss Sage. And some days you're like, you know what?
Like with the water. I mean, I wasn't drinking it. And then it dawned on me for the past week or so how hot it is. This heat demands that you stay hydrated. Mm-hmm. And so when you feel yourself feeling fatigued and lethargic and like you have no energy, just tweaking one little thing sets off a series of changes. I saw my skin improve. I felt like I had more energy. And there's a song in Trinidad in the Caribbean. It's one of my favorite artists. Drink your water and mind your business.
Drink water
That's
and
the
yeah, I see.
that's,
Yeah.
that's the name of the song, and it's very popular in Trinidad. And so some of me and my friends, that's like a joke, but it's drink your water and mind your business. In
Mm-hmm,
other words, take care of you, boo.
mm-hmm,
Put your priorities first. And I'm learning to do that because some of the stakes are high stakes.
mm-hmm.
The things that you're reaching for, right, Whitney?
Absolutely.
And what you might think is a high stake for someone else because they got notoriety and celebrity, it doesn't matter if it's trying to get your GED or
Mm-hmm.
if it's actually being able to get those 20 applications done in this month because you set the goal that I'm going to, whether I don't get no takers, I'm going to make sure every month I put in 20 applications. That's high stakes for somebody
Oh, absolutely.
because guess what? Your livelihood depends on it, your family depends on it. So, looking at the things that you value, making those priorities something that you put ahead of anything else, it requires focus.
Mm-hmm,
And so, for me right now, everything is building off of what I've already done.
mm-hmm.
And that's why, like, it's not as hard as you think. So, this 6 month means that we're building off of what we already done. Whitney said it in the beginning. I was a lot more progressive than I thought I was,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
Yeah, because you've done so much already that you're just building on top of that.
Mm-hmm,
So, this is like taking your own inventory because if you had a business, you have to take stock. You have to take inventory at least once a year, right, Whitney? If not, and so why not take inventory of your personal life and your professional life and see where you're balanced, what you could tweak. So
absolutely.
yes, I really love this. I think
Yeah,
it's
and I love that too, and I guess I'll end on the fact of specifically the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. It is a 5-year program. The whole point of the program is goal setting, right? And achieving goals. And the interesting thing about today's topic is that reset and refresh. Even in 5 years, a lot can happen in 5 years. And so we understand that things change, life changes, your goals might change, but those that may be watching that are a part of the FSS program or want to join, just know that we always allow room for change. If you feel like that's not what you want to do, we can think about something else, or it definitely more progressive goals. If you've been just rocking it out and you've done this and you're like, Miss Whitney, I want to add this. And that's something that the program allows. We are always encouraging goal changes, for you to grow. Um, Ultimately, increasing your income is one of them so that you can get that escrow and savings deposit every month, which is a great financial goal to have and end with the program. But I just want to add that again, it's important to reset and refresh. If you have to do that once a month, I'm cool with that too, because that just keeps you very focused, and whatever that looks like for you, just sitting down with yourself, seeing where you are, where you looking at, or if you want to do it every other month. But mid-year is always just a good time. It determines, and you have X amount more months left. So we're hoping that before December, right, if it is like these type of goals you set for specifically year goals, that you have achieved them, you have exceeded them, and setting more progressive goals to grow, because we can always go do better, grow better, and really advance ourselves in whatever capacity that we feel is fit. So we are just grateful that you have tuned in today with us for this mid check-in session. We will be back again next month. We're not sure if it'll be a morning one or afternoon, but we'll be sure to let you all know in advance. But feel free to come back and share this video, save it, come back and write those steps down if you missed them. And we are excited to just check back in with you next month. And again, if you need our information, I can always put that on our Facebook page if you wanted to reach out to either me or Miss Sage. Anything you want to add before we close out?
I'm just thankful for the topic, the mid-year, because I think of this as a new year with a birthday coming up, and that's how you should think that each month or each whatever interval you have, you could always start over. You could always, what is it? Realign, refresh,
Mm-hmm.
and review your life.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Have a wonderful week, wonderful month, and we'll be checking in next month. Have a good one.